gonna introduce our speaker for today, the first one, and then we'll have another presentation. And this one's gonna be Bonnie Adams. Where's Bonnie? So I think we all clap because we all know Bonnie and she's a fantastic person. And many of us have had body work done for her that has been life changing at different times. So I'm very excited to hear this new stage of you, which it's your first presentation this way. And it's a really, really good presentation. So looking forward to it. So Bonnie Adams has always had a deep respect and passion for the human body and a strong connection with living organisms. Her off-grid upbringing in the backwoods of Canada was the beginning of her appreciation for the value of life and her insatiable drive to learn the science of the body. When she's not doing body work, she enjoys hiking, art, photography, and participating in the radical life extension community. So here are just some of the titles that this amazing woman has collected. She's a Bachelor of Science in Physical Therapy. She's a medical photographer for Mayo Clinic, medical massage therapy, and a myofascial release therapist. So today, please help me welcome Bonnie Adams.
Well, while she's getting that up, I want to thank you all for the opportunity for me to share some of my passion with you. I want to thank a few people who helped me put this all together. I have not done a presentation like this before, haven't even made a PowerPoint presentation. So Melinda helped me do the first draft and helped me organize my thoughts. And Daniela put the presentation in a more professional fashion than I gave it to her in. And David and Melly found me a model that I'm going to pass around. And I want this to go through the room at least twice, because as I'm talking, I'm going to refer to some terms that this is a model for. And this is a tensagral structure, which I'll tell you more about shortly. So I'm just going to hand this out now. Uh-oh, where'd it go? Maybe I'll just take this time while they're getting it back up on the screen to tell you how I got involved in myofascial release therapy. So I'm a massage therapist, and I was never able to really help people with TMJ, deep TMJ problems, temporomandibular joint. I was never able to open my mouth more than 1.5 fingers since I was about 10. And 4 years ago, I had a major myofascial release experience and can now open my mouth 3 fingers wide. During that time, I had what we will call a kinesthetic unwinding, which I'll tell you more about. And I experienced a deep, very hard, deep pain in the back of my head and in my jaw that lasted about 30 seconds. And I never experienced those pains again, but they had been there since I was 10. So this stuff works. Okay, I do have to make a disclaimer. I am a grateful student of the John Barnes School of Myofascial Release. I am neither a scientist nor a doctor, but the information I'm sharing with you today is my simplified explanation of a very complex science. With no intention of giving you false information, I simply want to share a wonderful therapy for the physical body. There are a few terms that you may not have heard of before. So I just want to bring these up now. So tensegral structure, the model of which is going around, it is a flexible, strong system that when forces are applied to a part of the system, they immediately redistribute across the entire system. It moves, stretches, twists, compresses, whatever it needs to do to redistribute this stress. And a colloid is a substance consisting of microscopic dispersed particles suspended in liquid gel medium. And what is myofascia? It is the fascia of the musculoskeletal system. So before we talk about myofascia or myofascial release, let's find out what fascia is. So fascia is a combination of a continuous web of microtubules. It is surrounded and filled with ground substance, that colloid I told you about. It provides, and this is very important, the fascia provides a communicative environment that transmits signals instantaneously through the entire body. And it is a tensegral structure that is in constant movement in response to stresses. So that model that's going around, if you press on it, you will immediately see that the entire system reacts to it.
Hey, Bunny, give me 1 second because we're having some technical issue with the share for the
Oh,
people online.
Okay,
So if you can keep talking, but I'm gonna switch the slides a little bit.
okay. So until recent years, fascia was thought about as a thin layer of something. And it was only studied in cadavers, dead people, okay? And they would, and most scientists kind of threw that away and said it not important, but we're beginning to realize just how important the fascia is. And there's a lot more to it than that thin white tissue, which I'm going to show you a picture of in a minute. And then you've seen it in artist drawings and photos. But there is another part of this system that is only becoming known because of technology. We now have electron microscope cameras that can give us a magnification way beyond anything we've been able to do. And we can do it in real time in living people. So now we get to see a living fascia. I hope the slides come up soon so I can show you a couple videos of this. Yeah. So I'll just talk a little bit more while I'm waiting. I want you to think of microfascia and macrofascia. It's all one system. But macro is imagine that you could, if you stripped away the skin and everything, and you could take layer by layer, you can see the macrofascia. What you can't see is what this electron microscope camera can see that I'm going to show you. Okay, cool. So, yeah. Okay, so what you're seeing here is a dissection. You see that white stuff? That's the fascia being pulled off of a muscle in a dissection of a cadaver. And up above, I'm just trying to figure out. There. This is an artist rendering. This is an artist rendering. This is the white stuff right here. And this is when you pull apart a more fresh specimen, it's going to look like that. So I want to introduce you to the microfascia. This is so you've all heard this right here. The fascia is a web running throughout the body and covering all structures. That we've discovered a long time ago. A thin layer of, whoops. It disappeared again. Yes. Oh my goodness. We are looking down a tunnel into the microfascia. I don't know how you girls did that, but that's really cool. Oh my goodness. Oh dear. So this is what you would imagine. This is a cadaver, but if you pull muscle away, you're going to see this webby stuff. But I want to talk about, think of fascia on a microscopic quantum level. We're going to go to the operating room, and I apologize. This is actually, this particular thing is not it. I couldn't get the right picture for a real living body. This is still a cadaver, but I want you to see this webby stuff. We're going to put it under the microscope, and it looks like this. But then we're going to cruise under the skin with the magnification. I think it's 25,000 times with this camera. And if you multiply it even more, if you magnify it even more, you'll see this. So what I want to pay attention to is all these lines here. These are microtubules. And when you look inside, you can see a space. In that space is the gelatinous material, a colloid material. It's actually like a liquid crystal. And it carries communication. Did I say it all? Yeah. So I'll give you a quick view of strolling under the skin a little bit with that camera. So you can have it appreciate, we're magnifying more and more, and you're getting an image of these microtubules in real life. This is a live specimen. This is a live person. It's a little blurry because it is highly magnified, but I have a couple of short videos to show you. Watch how the microtubules change. They change their structure, they change their thickness, their approximation to other things. Here is another video, a little closer in. Now watch how they separate. Do you see, and do you see the liquid moving in the middle? Yeah. So think about that tensegral structure I just told you about. There is a stress somewhere in the body being put on this system. This part of the system, we are seeing how it reacts. You can see liquid going through the tubes. Some of this is best seen. I can't just describe it as well as you can tell by looking at it. And then I have one more short video to show you. Watch this top. Oh, I guess it didn't. The top piece I wanted to show you went from a triangular shape to those triangle spaces are jammed up. And then you see how that opened up? Yeah. Okay, because I'm going to make reference to that in the way that we treat people, how we cause that to open up. And you can see at the top is another little excerpt showing a drawing of what's happening here. See how it all moves. So that's why I want you to play with that model when it goes around, so you get an appreciation that this is real life and you're doing this in a model, so you can see how the stresses work. Okay, so what happens in this microscopic world? I do have notes so that I'm not always looking behind me. Myofascial release therapy uses 3 main functions. I'm going to talk about 2 today. And the third one is actually the second one in the middle. So first, it transmits. It transmits signals at, you ready? 20,000 times the speed of light. That is why it is instantaneous. No matter where this system is engaged, the rest of the body knows it immediately. By the way, the nervous system can't do that. Absorption and storage of stress and trauma, which is number 3 on your slide. Being that it can move and change its form, it can absorb energy, it can absorb stresses. And we as human beings, the fascial system absorbs physical, emotional, and spiritual stresses that are transmitted through this transsacral structure. When the fascial system is engaged anywhere, it's a whole body experience. When a trauma or a stress is delivered to some place in the body, the entire system is affected by those signals. And then I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. Number 2 up on there is, and this is a little controversial, houses your subconscious. This is a current discussion in science and not for this particular presentation. So the nervous system can only transmit at 20 meters per second their signals, and it cannot handle a very large number of diverse signals at the same time. However, the microtubules of the fascial system run at this speed, and it can handle an unlimited number of diverse type of signals at the same time. So let's have a car accident. Let's not, but let's say we did. The physical energy, or the physical and emotional stresses, the energy at the time of impact, are absorbed by this flexible system, which the model is going around for. It is dispersed through the system, preventing you from being torn apart. The microtubules slide and stretch and absorb the trauma energy, which eventually will settle into different areas and become stored over time. So your whiplash, you get out of an accident and you, oh yeah, I got a whiplash. You got way more than a whiplash. All that energy, you are the softest thing in the car. You are the softest thing in the car. The car crumbles around you, but most of the energy went into your body. And your fascia saved you. However, it's holding all that information, all that physical, emotional information, which over time can also be your spiritual information about this. Damaged fascia. So all very nice that we can absorb this information, all very nice that we can absorb this energy and not be torn apart, but this stuff gets stored in the body. And with time, wherever it is stored, those microtubules start to dry up and they no longer can perform their functions. The area becomes congested. So your communication lines are down, disconnected, or compensated. That area where it's compressed is no longer in homeostasis. Stored trauma causes inflammation. So now we have no motion or little motion in our microtubules. They become dehydrated, congested, stiff, and they compress. The body can take up to 2,000 pounds per square inch of pressure on these very sensitive structures. Nerves, vessels, muscles, organs, all structures. So as the structures become compressed, they lose, as the structures that they press on become compressed, they lose their functions too, or they start to complain. So where do these, someone once asked me, where would this information settle? That's up to the body. I don't know. And the symptom of your organ, let's say it could be musculoskeletal, vascular, peripheral, central nervous system, organs, lymph, your senses, your brain. Wherever that symptom is where some of this stored energy is doing its damage. So what is myofascial release therapy? The therapist uses myofascia, which I gave you at the beginning as the fascia of the muscle, as an entrance point to open the system in areas of blockage. Myofascial release therapy accesses the fascial system through the muscle to release congested, dehydrated areas of the fascial system, which means we open blocked communications and we restore the storage properties of the system. So basically you reestablish communications and you reestablish the elasticity and shock absorption properties. How do we do this? We do this with the laying on of hands. So the therapist is trained hands on skin applies a gentle touch delivered with a sustained, directional, intentional pressure that slowly reaches deep into the fascial system. The warmth of the hands and the sustained gentle pressure on the muscles initiates something called piezoelectricity in the fascia, travels through those tubules, causing the substance in the microtubules to rehydrate. And as they rehydrate, restores their fluidity, the microtubules, you notice how that sort of V-shaped area of fascia opened up into spindles? So the microtubules unwind and decompress. And as the microtubules start to unwind, stored inflammatory energy is released. And they're congested, and they, along with the release of that, so you release the memories of the event, the muscle memory, the body memory, the impact memory. So that's physical, emotional, and by now also spiritual. So we can use myofascial release therapy to bring the body back into balance. When you have a myofascial release therapy experience, many things can happen. A very wide range of experiences, person to person, and from session to session within the same person. It is a whole body phenomenon. It is not controlled, and this is very important. It is not controlled by your brain. This is a total body experience. If the brain comes into the action, it stops the action. So it actually interferes. So here's the one, and I think this is really important for us in this room. We must trust the body. So the body will not hurt itself. And when you're in these sessions, you actually have to trust your body and get this out of the way. Okay, so I'm gonna just go through this list real quickly. This is what you can experience. You could have a trance-like state. You could have a kinesthetic unwinding, anything from a little twitch to a full body and body everywhere. A profound relaxation, bursts of energy, feeling of a lightness of the body, unusual body sensations. You can have insights, visions, dreams, feelings of relief. You may have momentary pain or pressure. Vocalizations from quiet to very intense primitive sounds or talking in tongues. And you can experience detox symptoms. There are lots more, but these are the main ones. So why would somebody want to have this done? What are the results? What can happen? Well, you can get pain relief from long-standing unresolved pain, let's say from or like something that happened 20, 30 years ago, or even from a recent injury or surgery. Improve mobility and flexibility, fluidity of movement and balance, improve sleep, enlightenment, new energy, freedom from emotional and mental blocks, faster healing of injury or surgical lesions, reduction in scar tissue and contractures, feeling of a connection with your body, whole body awareness, positive postural changes, a new confidence, solidity of one's person, many freedoms of mind, body, and soul. So it goes beyond physical, but in my world, mind, body, soul, it's all physical. It's all physical. So just before I put up my final slide, oh no, one more. Anyway, the ultimate goal here is balance. Thank you. So I've asked a couple of people in the audience to just give a very brief 30-second testimony of what their experience is to show you the variety. Could we hand a mic out to Katie? And then it'll be Otto and Rena.
Yeah, so I went to Bonnie. I had a back surgery about 3 years ago, and the right side of my leg had a nerve that was really pinched. So the damage from this leg was, I just didn't have feeling, kind of numbness. My leg would like cramp up in the middle of the night. And so I did 2 sessions with Bonnie, and it's pretty wild. I don't have that anymore. Every once in a while it'll cramp up, but I think that's because I need magnesium and just normal like life. But after my 2 sessions with her, that was completely gone. And I was face down, and this like overwhelming like anxiety came up, and she told me I may twitch, I may fall off the table, like it's okay, just go with it, right? It was like this crazy, and I knew I was safe. The anxiety was there and I recognized it. And then with like 5 minutes, it was completely gone. And then I had a little bit of like random twitching throughout my body that would just happen randomly when she would be on one side of my body, something would twitch. But I did 2 sessions with her. We thought about doing 3, but that
Mhm.
did it. And it was amazing. And I haven't had any issues with this right side of my leg since then, along with probably some other things that, I've noticed good energy and stuff like that. But yeah, that was really incredible. It was a really neat experience. I highly recommend checking it out. Yeah.
Otto and Rena.
Okay. I was traumatized after when the war in Israel started. And, I have a background of Holocaust of my parents and everything. And, I have it in my body. So one day I drove and I felt like my guts stuck. It hurts. It's crazy. And I don't want to do it to myself. I need someone to embrace me. So I called Bonnie and I told her, now I need your touch. I want you to do it for me. So she came and we knew that it's going to be a long session because it's a lot of trauma, not from this war, all the war that I used to be as a soldier, as my kids and everything, and some more traumas. So I was ready. So it took maybe one moment, 1 minute, and I started to scream like crazy. She just needed to touch, nothing, very soft touch. But my body reacted to the touch. I needed the touch, and I was screaming like hell. I saw nothing, but I just released all the trauma for my legs, my button, my butt, my back, everything. But I cleaned my body like crazy, and it was so great. And your hands were so soft.
Wow, that's impressive. First of all, your presentation was excellent. But personal testimonial, I had several sessions with Bonnie. And my feeling was I'm so stuck, just so stuck. I have all these great thoughts, but I'm stuck. And then her slight touch first was, there's nothing special. My critical mind kicked in right away. Why did I sign up? I wanted a massage, blah, blah, blah. I heard myself talk like this. But then I gave into her touch, and it's very soft, very gentle. My skin started to communicate with different signals to my brain. And then I just let go. All of a sudden, my arm started to move like this, totally out of control. So, oh, that's interesting, keep moving. But it was not related from my mind to this move. And the other arm started to move, my leg started to move. And after this an hour and a half, I think, first time, I felt a complete relaxation from head to toe. I felt just my body released a lot of tension, a lot of tension. And the way the body does it, I have no control over. And you are a master to help people let go of control in a very gentle way, without any processing, without any understanding, without any getting an introduction first or whatever. You respond to her touch, and I responded to your touch really well and came back for several sessions because it was so profound. So I definitely highly recommend to work with her.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we do questions after everybody or now? Yeah, okay.
So if anybody has any questions,
Thank you.
yeah, good job. So is there
Question back
questions
there?
in the room or online too? If you have any questions, you can raise your hand or send a question through the chat.
Hi, Bonnie. That was amazing. Never ceases to amaze me, the miracle of the human body.
Lord,
Yes.
My question is, does myofascia regenerate? Like if you have a surgery and things are cut, muscles are cut, stuff like that, does that ever come back?
Yeah, it will. It will reroot itself and heal itself. But if it's congested, that area has to be decongested in order to open back up and become part of the system.
Bonnie, oh my God, you're amazing. I knew the body is a miracle, but when I saw that,
Mhm.
wow, miracle! It's like unbelievable. I was totally, my gosh. Anyhow, I did a session with you.
Mhm.
I didn't react like the people. I
Right, you
was
had something different.
relaxed and
That's right.
I felt like heaven. That's all.
Mhm.
Maybe I missed something. I don't
No,
know.
every person responds differently, and your body is the one who makes the decision how you respond. It does what it needs to do.
Wow. Okay.
I just help it do that. That's all.
Well, do I need more? I don't know. I need to know because I
Now,
don't.
that's a good question. People ask me, how many sessions does it take? So my answer to that is, if you have a specific thing, like let's say Katie, for example, I told her 3 to 5 sessions probably, just from my experience on what it would take to unwind this area of concern for her. And in that 3 to 5 sessions, if I couldn't get the body to unwind that, then probably this wasn't going to work for that. So it really depends on what the person needs. And there are people who come back a couple times a year just to
Adjust.
adjust the myofascial system.
Yeah. Thank you. Sweet.
Thanks, Danny. That was so good, and I know there's more and more.
Oh, yeah.
You're so knowledgeable, Bonnie. Thanks for putting that all together. Just 2 questions. Is the colloidal material that you mentioned, is that the main transductor of
Transmit-
communication?
Within the microtubules, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then what are some of the determinants for how much stress actually impacts the fascial system per person? You know, because I'm sure it varies per person how much is absorbed when you have a traumatic event or a stressful event.
I don't think that there's, to my knowledge, because remember my disclaimer here now, I'm still pretty new in this. Every body is different. Your fascial system is different than mine, or we wouldn't look different. If it was the same, we would look the same. So your system is going to accept or absorb an impact around all of your body. Maybe someone has more fat tissue. The tubules look a little different around that. Maybe that fat makes a difference on the impact. So I can't actually give you a straight answer on that.
Okay. So, well, then that leads me to the thought, you as the therapist have to be so attuned through your kinesthetic experience and through your whole body to, to go where no man is going, no, to go wherever it's needed.
There is a body, okay, so it's a long conversation, but there is a body language that I'm trained to see
Mm-hmm,
and feel. And I have to follow those clues.
mm-hmm.
So
Beautiful.
if I'm working one area of your body and suddenly you get a big red, mark here. This is where I need to go next. I might have been on your toes, but you might have got a big red, what we call a hyperthelial reaction here, hyperemia. This is where I need to go next because the body is saying there's something here. And then when I get there, I'll discover what it is.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Hi, I have a question. What is the difference between the myofascial stretch and a myofascial massage?
Okay, well, first of all, what I do is not a myofascial massage. It's myofascial release therapy. I am a massage therapist, so it's easy to confuse the two. So a myofascial stretch is just that. It's a stretch, but you're stretching the whole line of fascia, that like that white stuff. You're stretching on that level. Most of those stretches are not maintained long enough or gently enough to reach the very smallest structures in the fascial system. So the myofascial release therapy works on I call it deeper, but it's a more microscopic level, and it requires a gentle touch. If you touch roughly, that part of the system is not going to respond. And eventually you will come back to here. You stretch to here, but you'll come back to here. If you stretch every day, several times a day out here, eventually you will stay out there. But this is required to keep that new length real.
Do have a quick testimonial because
Okay.
I went with you with no expectations. Just, I wanted to experience something different. And what you did, it reminded me of, I was run over by a car when I was a teenager. And it wasn't
Yeah.
that bad, but I'm here.
No.
but it like yeah. So anyway, so when you were like, it reminded me, I completely forgot about that accident, completely forgot. And when you were working on me, it like all of a sudden, all those memories in the side of my body that I hit the hardest,
Mhm.
it came up.
Mhm.
So, that's to back up what you're saying, that the body stores this, because
Yes.
for me, wasn't conscious. I was just going there for the new experience. So I just wanted to say that.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Yeah. Yeah, it is powerful. It's very subtle, but very powerful.
Yeah, I had all of this, Bonnie made me think about the brain, since you're saying it's a body experience more so than the brain, but is there fascia and microtubules between the brain and the skull? And does any of this can affect or help with brain trauma, that kind of traumatic injury?
That's great question. So yes, the fascia covers every cell in your brain.
Question. One more?
And so it can affect, but I can't say it can cure.
Okay.
Great presentation, Bonnie. Really enjoyed it. It was exciting. Just you have talked a lot about car accidents and that kind of thing, but can there be repetitive motion trauma and emotion where we hold ourselves a certain way because of emotional stresses? And it's just coming to me that you don't have to have a car accident to.
That's right. I only use that as an example. Absolutely, repetitive posture, and sometimes our posture is not just the work we do. Sometimes it is all the emotions that go with it. And yes, we can release that.
Okay. That's all the time we got. Thank you so much,
What?
Bonnie. Yes. Okay. That was really insightful. Thank you, Bonnie, for your expertise and your professionalism. I've also had beautiful work done by her that when you were just starting, and it's a short testimonial, but it because I was just reminded it brought up some things from when I gave birth to Aurora in the physical trauma that happened internally that I wasn't even aware of any trauma and everything. And when she started touching some places, my body started kind of like going into protection and pains and all kinds of things. And ever since I had that done with you, like my whole body like moves and stands different. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but I've noticed that there's just a different fluidity. And I can see how we all need this for longevity, because there's that one thing, it's like this tightness that starts happening, and it's like the body protecting and going in. And if anything, we need to do this thing that I remember Bernie said one time, like wearing your cape, and it's like pulling that back. So, okay.